We'll start with Mangalacharan. Namo Arhantaram, Namo Siddhardam, Namo Airiyadam, Namo Uvachayadam, Namo Loe Savasahudam. Mangalam Bhagwan Viro, Mangalam Gautamo Gani, Mangalam Kunda Kundatyo, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam, Sarva Mangalya Mangalyam, Sarva Kalyan Karakam, Pradhanam Sarva Dharmanam, Jainam Jayatu Shasanam, Jainam Jayatu Shasanam, Jainam Jayatu Shasanam. मोक्षमार्गस्य नेतारं भेत्तारं कर्मभूभृतां ज्ञातारं विश्वतत्त्वानां वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये. So Jai Jinendra, everyone. We are beginning to actually discuss about Jainism and actually discover about it. And we thought that it would be a great start to begin with our five Parmeshthis to gather more clarity on whom do we bow down to and what is the real reason behind bowing down to or pay respect to these five Parmeshthis. The Damokar mantra, we all just right from the birth, just right after we took birth. This is one mantra which, with by our families, by our parents, grandparents, this is one mantra that has been constantly fed to us, and we all memorize it so well. And whenever we go to temple or whenever we go to sleep, even we make it in like we make sure that we actually at least once, if not 9 times or 3 times, we actually whisper this mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Airiyadam, Namo Uvajhayadam, Namo Loe Savvasahudam. Right? I think everybody remembers it, right? Everybody knows this mantra. So there are five Parmeshthis, the five supreme beings, the five great souls that we pay our respects to. And we are here on a very brief journey to discuss why are we, like what did these five Parmeshthis do so well that all of us together and individually bowing down to these five Parmeshthis. So in that we started making our understanding about this world, about the reality, and about what actually our lives, like the lives that we are living, what is actually the purpose of it, and what are the cause and effects that surround us, what is the science of life. So firstly, we started with this small Prakrit Gatha. It has been taken from Sri Moksh Pahurji, written by the great sage Acharya Kund Dev. It's 104th Gatha of Sri Moksh Pahurji. And I'll read it again one more time for all of us. If you can read Hindi very well, if you cannot, no worries. The translation of it is very simple, very easy. So I'll read this Gatha to begin today's discussion. Aruha Siddhayariya Ujjhaya Sahu Panch Parmethi Te Vihu Chittadi Ade Tamuha Adahu Me Saranam. What Acharya Kundkun Dev is saying is just simple. Aruha means Arihanta. Okay? So Aruha means Arihant Parmeshti. So in this picture, there is the first Parmeshti is called Arihant Parmeshti. We all pay our respects to Arihant Parmeshti while we go to the temple. So in the Vedi, in the temple, the idol is kept of Arihant Parmeshti. Okay, so we give our respects to Arihant Parmeshti while we go to the temple. Okay, because Arihantas have body. Okay, then second number is of the second turn is of Siddha. So these are the Siddha Parmeshti who do not have body. Okay, so they do not possess any body, therefore we cannot make any idol of Siddha Parmeshti. That's why in our temples there is no idol for Siddha Parmeshti. Right? It's very interesting. There are so many philosophies in this world, right? A few philosophy, everybody has their own temple. You may call it church, you may call it mosque, you may call it a temple, a gurudwara, right? There are so many different kind of places of worship where people go to, but it's very, 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 in their ways, how people pay respect, how they support their own belief. So if you go to a Gurudwara, you know, so all these Sikh who follow the Sikhism, the religion of Sikhism, when you go to their temple, they do not have any idol. They actually have a book. They have this divine book, the Shri Guru Granth Sahib, and they pay respect to the book, just like we pay respect to Jinwani. When you go to a mosque, right? The what Islam, the religion of Smal, they give the respect to. When you go to their temple, they call it mosque. And when you go inside, they also do not have any idols, but they also do not have any scripture as well. What whom do they give respect to? They think, they believe that the God is formless. The God has does not have any form, so we cannot contain the God into some idol of our imagination. Does he look like a man or a woman, or like a or some kind of a divine spiritual being? They do not have any sort of imagination. They said that God is all pervasive and it's formless. So they have the place of worship, but they do not have any idol, right? Then you go to a Hindu temple or Jain temple, you actually get to see the different idols. So Hindus, they have different idols. They have idols of Lord Shiva, they have idols of Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, right? So their lords are all decorated. They have beautiful ornaments hanging on their bodies, and it's very lush and very attractive, shiny. The whole setting of temple is that way, right? Because they believe that, okay, when there is somebody who is God, he should be ordained with all the luxury, all the, the greatest of the jewelry, ornaments, precious stones. So they actually make their good God adorned with all these things. But when you enter a Jain temple, you see a very simple, very calm, without any preparation, without any ornaments, without any clothes, simple, pure, just as our bodies are innately, without any decoration. We just see the idol, which does not have any cloth, any ornament, any jewelry to it. So, see, there are so many variants. Since there are so many beliefs in this world, there has to be so many different kind of ways in which people adore their lords. So I would want to say that Jainism actually is an attempt. If you go to a Jain temple and if you understand a Jain philosophy, it's actually a great mixture if we see it from that perspective. So when we go to the temple, we have idol, right? And we bow down to idol, so we bow down to Arihanta Bhagwan. But again, we also have a God who cannot be contained in an idol. We also adore to the formless. The Siddha Bhagwan is the one who does not have any body. So if you ask any of the Jains that why do we not have a idol of Siddha Bhagwan, everybody will get confused because they do not have any body. So just like the other religions, other faiths, they believe that, okay, God is formless. We also say, yes, the soul is formless. Yeah, it cannot be contained in body or in any shape. Yeah, but the soul is an object, and any object has to have some shape. Without any shape, without any, volume, there cannot be any object. Even if you have a even tiniest of thing, let's say if I have a watch. So a watch, if it's an entity, it's an object, then it has to have its own shape, its own weight. It will take its own area, its own space. Similarly, there are 6 substances in Jainism. One of those substances called the jiva, the soul. So when soul is an object, so just like everything else, every material of this world, it has its own space. It's by default that if a dravya is there, it must have its own space. That's we call pradesh. So every dravya has its own pradesh, its own area, its own volume. So yes, Siddha Bhagwan is again formless. He is bodiless, but at the same time, he has his own shape. So just because we cannot see him doesn't mean that he is just, scattered all around the world. No, he's contained in its own body. So again, then you go to Gurudwara, you have people adoring a scripture. Again, we have Jinwani Mata. We also adore scripture, right? So we adore the idol, we adore the bodiless, and we adore the scripture. Dev Shas Guru. We have all, so in our belief, We have, our temple not only dedicated to idol, we also worship the formless Siddha Bhagwan, and we also worship the scripture, the divine Vani, the Divya Dhvani, the Keval Gyan, the result of Keval Gyan, the Jin Vani of Jinendra Bhagwan. We also adore it. So in Jainism, in our belief system, we believe in adoring all the three things: the form, the Arihantas, who has the formless, the Siddhas, and the scripture as well, the text, the divine text, and the teachings and the preachings of the Tirthankara that actually pave the path to liberation. Right? So when you come to Jainism, it's a full package. Your temple is not just restricted to adoring the formless or the person who has idol or just the scripture. We have all in one package. And that's the beauty of this belief. That's why this belief is called Anekant Darshan. We actually respect everybody's opinion, everybody's perspective, because everybody is right from their own point of view. There is no right and there is no wrong. As long as you get the context, everything is right. As long as you lose the context, whether whatever you say, no matter how beautiful it is, that will only be a lie. Without context, there is no truth. And if there is a context, then everything is true. So that's the Jainism's beauty, right? That's how it tells us to be, that liberal. We are the most liberal religions of, that the world philosophies have to offer, because we do not say no to anything. Everybody is doing something or another. They have their own belief system behind it. And to some extent, it also works, but that only works to that extent. So it's true, we acknowledge its presence, that okay, you say that if I adore a stone, that stone might give some good blessings back to me. That's my belief. Somebody does it. So in temple, you go and you adore a stone actually, right? But how does it work? How bowing down to a lifeless object actually gives back blessings to you? How does it work? Isn't it actually pointless? And if you'll tell me, the logics would fail. If I am going to bow down to a lifeless object, it's better that I bow down to somebody who's full of life, who can actually tell me a word or two, or who can guide me in my life, who can tell me how to walk, how to talk, how to learn, how to do these talks, how to go to the school, how to educate myself, how to take care of this body. So even if there is a trainer who teaches me how to swim, is better than that stone, because that guy who is full of life is actually teaching me something. But this object which is lifeless, the idol, it does not tell me anything, right? So why do I bow down to it? Does bowing down to a lifeless object actually helps me in my life? If it can, how? How is it possible? That's what the whole discussion we are trying to move around and we are trying to make, okay, sense out of. So we have Aruha, means Arihanta. The second Parmeshti that we have is the life, shapeless. I mean, I would not say shapeless, it's bodiless. They do not have the body, but there is no Dravya who does not have its own shape. Yeah, shapes may differ, but everybody has to have its own volume, its own area that it, takes. So Arihanta Parmeshti is the Bhagwan who has body. Siddha Parmeshti is the Bhagwan, the Lord, who has left body. His body has gone. Now he does not need to take another body, because he does not have to do all this janma, maran, birth and death cycle repetition again and again. Then we have Ayariya. Ayariya means Acharya. Acharya is like, just like in a school, there is a head, there is a teacher, principal, who actually takes the management of the whole school, under whom all the teachers teach the students, right? So Acharya is the principal. He is the head of that, he is the CEO, we might say, or he is the head or a principal. Okay, Acharya. And what he does, he actually is the principal, is the CEO of the Moksha Marga. So whoever is he is the student of Moksha Marga and wants to take admission into this, or wants to, start his career into Moksha Marga. So he may approach Acharya. Acharya will guide him. and the Acharya will send him to Upadhyaya Parmeshti. Upadhyayas are the teachers or the managers, right, under CEO. So in that corporate setting or in that scholastic settings, they work. So Acharya is the head under whose management whole moksha marg prospers. The Acharyas have their own teachers who actually aid Acharya in felicitating those who want to go ahead in the moksha marga, in the path to liberation. So Upadhyayas are the teachers. So you can see the Upadhyayas are teaching. So Acharyas are inducting those who are the seekers. They are inducting them into the Sangha. So Acharya give the Diksha. Acharyas give us the all the vows that we want to take, any vrat that we want to take, whatever we want to do to make ourselves just level up in the path to liberation. Acharyas help us. Acharyas have upadhyayas under them. Upadhyayas are those muniraj, those monks, those sages who have good command over Jinvani. They have great knowledge of Jain text, and they teach us, they preach us, and they tell us the true nature of the reality. So those are the upadhyayas. They are the teachers, just like the teachers we have in school who work under the principal. Similarly, acharyas induct upadhyayas. And then who are the students of this school? We have a principal, we have a teacher, but we need students in this school, right? Principal and teachers would do what without students in a school? So students are the most important aspect. We call them sadhu. Sadhus, who are they? They are the students of Moksha Marga. So those who are the seekers, those who thought that, okay, enough of this mundane life. I cannot just go about taking birth, then just grow up and then grow old and die again and take birth again, new body again, grow up, repeat. They're tired of this repetition. They've understood the true nature of reality and they thought, okay, if there is a way out, why not? Let's explore it. So to explore the moksha marga, and after believing it, after attaining Ratnatraya, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, Samyak Charitra, they approach Acharya. Acharya actually take their interview. They actually see whether they are worthy of being inducted to this great path to liberation or not, or what suits them, what suits their profile best, what is better for them, smaller vows, or they can directly take the Nirbrinth Diksha. So the Acharya analyzes the whole profile of that particular seeker, and if they deem them fit, they actually enroll them to their sanghas. So these are called sadhu parmeshthis. These five beings. So right from the seeker to the person, the siddha who has realized whatever he seeked, right? We have whole journey of a soul contained or summarized briefly in these five parmeshthis. So Aruha is Arihanta, Siddha is Siddha Parmeshthi, Ayariya is Acharya Parmeshthi, Ujjaya is Uvajjaya Parmeshthi or Upadhyaya Parmeshthi, and Sahu is Sadhu Parmeshthi. These are Panch-Parmeshthies. These are five Parmeshthis. This is the one line. The first line is simple. Arihant, Siddh, Acharya, Upadhyaya, and Sadhu. These are five Parmeshthis. Pretty simple. It's very simple. Just one line. Arihant, Siddh, Acharya, Upadhyaya, and Sadhu. These are five Parmeshthis. Now, second line is very tricky and very important, and that's what we are here to discuss. What we are going to discuss today. Tevihu Chitthadi Ade Tamha Ada Hume Saranam. So all these five Parmeshthis, the Arihantas, Siddhas, Acharyas, Upadhyayas, and Sadhus, these five Parmeshthis, they are nothing but just the realization of this soul. They are nothing but the transformation of this soul. This soul, this very soul that I am, this soul, when it decides that, okay, I'm going to take the charge of my life and I'm going to make it better. I'm going to go out for peace. I'm going to have complete bliss. When a soul has this perfect resolve that, okay, nobody can stop me from getting the complete supreme bliss, that particular soul actually takes these five forms. So these five parmeshthis are nothing but the transformation that a soul are, but these are the transformations that a soul who is seeker of happiness goes through. So these are nothing but the blueprint of our journey. So we'll first become the seeker, then we'll attain the actual knowledge of reality, we'll become upadhyaya. Then if we got the opportunity, it's not necessary just being sadhu and doing our own tapa, doing our own tapasya, the penance, the whole process of liberation is enough. Upadhyaya and acharyas are special. Not every teacher has to become principal. It's not required, right? If you are happy being a teacher and being a seeker, the sadhus, they only become arihanta, they only become siddha. So sadhu is the seeker. Those who actually attain a good command over these scriptures, they become upadhyayas. And those who have good managerial skills, they automatically become acharyas. So they lead the whole sangha of monks, right? And when somebody has to complete his sadhana, somebody has to do to actually attain liberation they want to, then they'll have to let go of acharya pad. They'll have to let go of upadhyaya pad. They'll have to come back to the monkhood, the sadhu parmeshthi, and then they can just dive into their souls and become arihanta, destroy all karmas, and you become siddha. So these five forms are nothing but the manifestations of the soul. The soul becomes Arihanta, the soul becomes Siddha, the soul becomes Acharya, the soul becomes Upadhyaya, the soul becomes Sadhu. That's why. If I just, just take down all my clothes, have one pichi, have one kamandal, just, remove all my hair and go to the jungle, will I be called sadhu? Can I become sadhu just like that? No, it's not the form of body. What Acharya Kundakundev is saying, these five supreme beings, they are the manifestations of the soul, not of the body. So see, we can only see body through our senses. That's the limitation of our knowledge as of now. We have totally surrendered to this body. So even to see, we'll have to use eyes. If I want to hear something or listen to something, I'll have to use ears. If I want to taste something, I'll have to use the tongue, right? We are, what should I say, in the cage of this body. So we are encaged in this body. And therefore, actually, I am soul and I'm full of knowledge. I am the object who knows, right? We are the sentient beings. We have the power to know. The soul does not have the power to know. So a body dies, a dead body, it has eyes, but it cannot see. It has ears, but it cannot hear. Why? Because the power, the energy which fueled this eye to see, which fueled this nose to smell, ears to listen, it has gone. So the ownership of knowledge, the power to know lies with the soul. We are the soul, but we are so, what should say, so miserably caged in this body that we cannot even know on our own. We have to take the help of this body. So this body is not soul, and the soul has these five forms. So just by decorating your body, you cannot become Arihanta. Just by decorating your body, just leaving all the clothes aside, having a certain type of things with you like Pichi and Kamandal, you cannot become Sadhu Parmeshthi. There is a great homework that goes about to become a Sadhu Parmeshthi. You have to work on your soul. And that's why Acharya Kunkundev says, Tamha Adahu me Sarinam. When these five forms whom I bow down to, they are nothing but the possibilities that my soul has, then why am I bowing down to these five people? Should I not bow down to myself itself? And if I bow down to this soul, automatically these five manifestations will begin to appear. They will take place. Therefore, for me, there is only one shelter. There is only one sharan. There is only one abode. And that abode is, that shelter is my own soul. So this is the small mantra that we all must remember. Ada hu me saranam. To me, myself is the only abode. To me, I am everything. I am the five Parmeshthis, because if not today, tomorrow, whenever it is bound to happen, whenever it will happen in this way, that I'll go down to myself and I'll become sadhu. I'll bow down to myself, I'll become Arihanta. I'll bow down to myself, I myself will become Siddha. That's the whole, that's the only way that it is going, how it is going to happen. So therefore, to me, myself is the supreme shelter, supreme abode, ultimate sharan. Right? We also read Chattari Mangal part, right? Chattari Mangalam, Arihanta Mangalam, Siddha Mangalam, Sahu Mangalam, Kevli Pannato Dhammo Mangalam, Chattari Logottama, Arihanta Logottama, Siddha Logottama, Sahu Logottamo, Kevli Pannato Dhammo Logottamo, Chattari Saranam Pavajami. So Saranam means Sharan, shelter. So there are 4 shelters. There are 4 beings who can actually give me shelter, under whose guidance I can feel safe. So Arihantas are shelter, Siddhas are shelter, Sadhus are shelter. And the great religion propagated by Lord Tirthankara, Kevli Bhagwan, is the shelter to me. So there are 4 Sharan. But no, Acharya Kundkund Dev is saying there is only one Sharan. Ada Hume Saranam. To me, myself is only a word, is the only shelter. Okay? Okay, I hope everybody understood this whole thing. If I summarize it, these 2 lines in simple language, Arihant, Siddha, Acharya, Upadhyay, and Sadhu. These are 5 Parmeshthis who are just the manifestation of this soul. Therefore, to me, myself is the only abode. Because these 5 things, these 5 Parmeshthis, they originate by serving to ourselves. So therefore, I must serve to myself first. And secondly, to these 5 Parmeshthis. So if I bow down to 5 Parmeshthis, I have to ensure that have I recognized myself as soul or not? Have I bowed down to or acknowledged my existence or not? Right? So we have to first understand ourselves as soul, and only then it would be fruitful to bow down to these 5 Parmeshthis. Any questions so far? Any doubt in this? It's very simple, very straightforward, right? The only thing is that we always were so busy going down to Arihantas, Siddhas, Acharyas, Upadhyay, and Sadhus. We forgot that what was the process, what was the science that went behind becoming Arihanta, Siddha, Acharya, Upadhyas, and Sadhus. Acharya Kunkundev is telling us, no, they did not bow down to Arihanta, Siddhas, Acharyas, Upadhyay, and Sadhus, and all the 5 Parmeshthis. No. What Arihantas did to become Arihanta, they actually served their own selves. They came back to themselves. They served their soul. They understood whom they are. They tried exploring and understanding the nature of the self, and then they actually remained contented into the self. They did not want anything other than soul. So they just remained contented in themselves, and then they attained the supreme nirvana. The Arihanta became Arihanta, Siddha, the supreme beings became supreme Parmeshthi. So the soul is the center of the whole Jainism. Now, by this, we have concluded this, okay? This simple line, we all can memorize it. It's a small mantra. You may always, when the times are gloomy, when you're feeling very, like down, when you think that things are not happening good, you have to remind yourself, Ada Hume Sarinam. I have myself. I have not lost anything. There is nothing that has gone. I have all of myself. To me, I am only the shelter. I am the last hope. Nobody else is going to help me in the times of tragedy or in good times or bad times. There is no second person who can make me feel better. I'll have to take an effort and make myself feel better. So for me, myself is everything. And therefore, Ada Humesh Saranam, I'll always have to remember that I am my only hope. There is nobody who is going to help me if I do not choose to help myself. Okay, that's the simple mantra that Acharya Kundakund Dev gave us 2000 years back. Okay, in the last class, we did that small video. Actually, since last 2 sessions, we are looking at this video. But just one last time, we are going to redo it. And quickly, I'll just tell you what I am trying to show through this video. And then we'll start with this 5 Parmeshthis nature. Okay, so the whole video is about this person, the alien who comes to Earth exploring, and he comes out of his spaceship, and then because it's a totally unknown place to that particular alien, he's scared of everybody. That's what we're scared of. We are always scared of the unknown, right? When we know particular thing, we do not get scared, right? But when we know, so what happened? Have you heard that there are six aras, six kal, right? Aras, the kals,
Yeah.
Bhog
Yeah.
Bhumi, Karma Bhumi, right? So what happens is this world is not just like this. It's constantly just like the seasons change, the times also change, and with time, people also take a birth with different kind of abilities. So what happened when Adinath Bhagwan was not born? Okay, his dad was Nabhi Rai, King Nabhi Rai. Okay, they are called Kulkar. So the third Kal was going on. It's Bhog Bhumi, and it was the time where Bhogbhumi converts to Karma Bhumi. Means in Bhogbhumi, what happens is there is no concept of work. You only thing that you have to do is just have leisure. All the luxuries you have at your doorstep. You're born with silver spoons, what we say in today's language. If you need anything, there are magical trees. We call them Kalpa Vraksha. You go to those trees, you just say what you want, and they'll make it and give it to you. So you don't have to do anything. You come to this beautiful place called Earth just to enjoy. Just like, we go to the mountains, we see the waterfall, we see the river flowing. We feel very, it's very calming, very soothing. You enjoy it, right? We go to these places just to enjoy the scenery. So Bhog Bhumi is all about that. So, those who do, who do not pursue more actions, who are very calm, there are certain people who are very uh, what should I say? They do not practice any of these sins, very, very calm and helping nature. So those people who have very calm nature, they automatically attract those kinds of karmas. So that they take birth in the Bhog Bhumis. Okay, they have a very pleasant life full of luxuries and leisure. Okay. So now this life of Bhog Bhumi, they have so much of different kind of the version of their own world that they do not get to see the sun and the moon because they live in the uh, light of all the precious gems, all the precious stones, diamonds. So the whole concept of electricity is not there, but they do not need it because they actually have the light through gems and through precious stones and diamonds. Okay, so slowly while the time was converting, these precious gems started to flicker. Their energy started to go down. They started dimming, and suddenly what happened, because now there is lesser light around, automatically whatever was in the sky, it started becoming visible. So what people saw for the first time was the sun. So what they actually thought, there is a big chunk of fire is hovering around over our heads, and now we are going to get destroyed by it. And everybody was restless. They cannot just imagine what's going to happen, because a fireball is just hovering around your head. Every day you can see it. So everybody was very scared, and they ran to these kulkaras, their the leaders that they had, and they asked them, what is this happening? We are very scared of these things, that we astronomical objects that we see. What is going to happen? Then they told them, do not be scared of these things. They were always there. We could not see because we had so much of light around us, so we did not ever get chance to see it. Just like in these days when we live in city, we cannot see these stars because because of the city light, the stars are not visible. So when you go to the mountains, you see sky full of stars. When you come back to your hometown, you hardly see two or three, four stars, right? Similarly, at that time, the sun and the moon were not visible. So now Acharya Jinsen, who wrote this whole this transition, who described this transition, he said this one thing: the fear remains only and until only then, until we do not know what the nature of a thing is. They were scared of the sun, and we are not. Why are we not scared of the sun? Are you scared of the sun, Adi? Janav, are you scared of the sun?
No, because
No.
we know that like
Yeah,
it's
but just imagine you have spent all your life in a cave, okay, and the cave was fully packed. All you see was the darkness. And suddenly, what happens one day? Strikes, the lightning strikes to that dark cave. And the cave actually opens up and the light peers through your cave. Now, will you be scared or not to see the light for the first time?
Yeah, you would be, because you'd be used to the darkness and you'd never be
Yes.
like,
So the fear comes when we do not know the nature of the things,
yeah,
right? The fear
yeah,
comes when we actually do not know what the science behind. That's the basic difference between the science and the magic as well. So how do you define magic? Something that cannot be explained by your given set of knowledge, something that you cannot explain, you call it magic. But magic is also a defined science. Those who know it, they do it. Without science, you cannot even do the magic, right? So
yes, you can't.
similarly, the fear exists only towards the thing that we are not sure about. Correct? So this alien being comes down to this earth. He's afraid of the animals that he sees and started shooting all the things. But in haste of saving itself, he ends up shooting his own spaceship. Now what is going to happen? Now what the tragedy is going to happen? Yeah, like can you see the gravity of the mistake that he has committed? Now there is no way back. Correct? Similarly, after understanding through this gatha that okay, though we have 5 Parmeshthis, but ultimately, who is going to help me? 5 Parmeshthis or my soul? Like whom should I bow down to? 5 Parmeshthis or my soul? Tell me. To me, myself is a word, right? That's what we learned. Ada hume saranam. To me, myself is the only abode, right? So we learned it. And we also, in our previous sessions, we have discussed that one person cannot do any harm to another until and unless this person is destined to be harmed, right?
Yeah,
Do good or bad of me until and unless my own destiny allows it to happen to me, my own karmas, right? So Arihantas cannot do any good to me because they have superpowers, but those superpowers are for them. They're not, they're of no use to me. They enjoy their own superpowers, right? So when we know that one object cannot do the work of another, when we know that one thing does not impact or influence the other ever, it cannot. When we know this, should we not stop adoring, bowing down to 5 Parmeshthis? See, I have my soul. Should I not mind my own business and admire myself and just be it? I'll not go to temple. I'll not go to any of the Siddha Kshetra, Tirtha Kshetra. I'll not read Jinvani. Why? Because everything tells that I am everything. So I am everything. Why do I even need to bow down to these 5 people? You are getting my point? My question.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what this guy is doing. Now we need to understand the science because both the things we have to understand. We have to understand on the first, we have to establish that I exist. Because I exist and I eternally exist, then only these 5 can be justified. If the soul dies after the death, there cannot be a Arihanta, there cannot be a Siddha. The sadhus, acharyas, and upadhyayas are mad people who are doing, who are going about life without understanding anything. That's what it would mean, right? If I have to die after my death, what sadhus are doing tap for? Why are they wandering into the jungle? They should come with me, go to a party, enjoy life, right? So if
no,
soul is not, the soul's eternity is not established, these 5 people become fictitious beings. The sadhus become actually people who are, punishing themselves for no reason. We'll actually not be able to give them any respect. We'll actually pity them. Oh, why are you being so hard on yourself? Come, let's go to some, watch some movie, have some good food in some restaurant. We should, right? So first thing is that we have to establish soul. Without the establishment of soul, there is no Arihanta, no Siddha, no Acharya, no Padya, no Sadhu. Because if with this body I'm going to die, what is the point of any kind of penance that I undertake? What is the good of any vow that I make to myself? Why should I even go to the temple? What is good? What is bad? Right? Good and bad only come, the discussion on what is good, what is bad will only begin once we acknowledge that soul is going to live after death. If it does not, then there is no right, no wrong. You want to kill someone, you want to eat fish, eat fish. You want to go hunting, you go hunting, because there is no right and wrong. Because I see people who eat fish, who go hunting, who do all sorts of crime, they live a very luxurious life. So clearly, whatever the setting of punya and pap is, that's not working or applying to them. So there is no justification whether they are going to get any reward for their bad doings and good doings. When the karma theory is not apparently working, what are we here discussing? We should also go about enjoying life. Should we not?
We should not.
Why? Why? Because this premise. If you believe in the existence of soul, that soul is eternal, then whole this explanation is okay. The moment you actually say no to this question that whether soul exists after death or not, the whole religious sciences, the whole concept of karmas, the whole concept of what is good, what is bad, justice, the crimes, everything, it just disappears. There is no point. That's what Acharya Samantabhadra. I'll tell you one very beautiful scripture's name. I think you should memorize it. It's a beautiful name. The name of the scripture is Aptami Mansa. It's written by Acharya Samantabhadra. He was a great Jain monk, and he actually wrote the first Jainism scripture of logic. Okay, in Nyaya, the logic. Jains have very strong set of belief, also very strong set of literature on logic. Okay, our literature on logic must be understood by us all. It should be a dream that okay, one day we are going to read about the Jaina principles of logic. Okay, so he wrote this first scripture, the first scripture on Jaina logic. It's called Aptami Mansa. In that, the name is Apt means Arihanta, the Shasta, the Tirthankara. Mimansa. He's actually asking Arihanta to come to a court, and he's actually in front of Arihanta, questioning Arihanta that whether you exist or whether you do not. Should I believe you or should I not? That's whole logic, that's whole establishment of five Parmeshti is there in that Grantha. So he said there is one this beautiful, in that there is one beautiful shloka. Kushla kushalam karma paralokasya na kvachit ekantagrah rakteshu nath swapar bairishu. O Lord Mahavira, O dear God, those who do not believe you and thereby not believing the soul and its eternity, in their set of belief, there is no good karma, no bad karma. There is no afterbirth, and therefore there cannot be any definition of happiness or sadness. Oh Lord, those believers who do not believe in what kind of the what who do not believe in the nature of soul as told by you, they are actually the enemies of self and others. They destruct themselves as well as others. So that's what our whole intent is right now, that we're trying to explore. That okay, soul we have to believe the first. Without believing that soul is eternal, and with this body as we can see it decaying, the soul will not die. That's the first premises. Then only we'll have five Parmeshthis. So saying five Parmeshthis, it automatically establishes that soul has to be eternal. That's the first lesson that we have to take. Okay, then when soul is eternal and soul is everything, why should we acknowledge these five Parmeshthis? Why should we bow down to these five Parmeshthis? So just like that alien person who just saying that, okay, there is nobody is mine in this world. There is no one whose shelter should I take. Just realizing that that person started killing everyone, right? And in the haste, he actually killed its own, destroyed its own spaceship. Similarly, in life, there are many people who knowing about the spirituality, about the soul, they go about life freelancing. Okay, what they say, okay, there is no one, so I will bow down to no one. I am the master of my life. I am spiritual. I am going to transform my life, but without bowing down to anyone. And in that haste of acknowledging self and also going about spirituality, they actually self-destruct. So now clearly two things. See, whenever you, have you ever been to, uh, I don't know, yeah, scary houses, they happen in the malls, adventure parks. If you go, there are scary houses. Have you ever been to a scary house? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you enjoy there, Janif?
No.
No, then what did you do?
The scary thing is just that like it's there to capture like what you think.
Yeah. So how do you get scared in scary house? How does it happen that we get scared?
It's because of like the knowledge that we use is that like that nothing like the matter cannot be made or destroyed or like
No,
like this.
that's okay. If I go to a scary house, there is whole
Mm-hmm.
setting. Okay, there is darkness. There are objects, like the bones they are hanging out, and creepy lightings and the sound, which is very annoying actually. And we go to that setting and we start feeling scared, right? Though we enjoy, when we look back, when we come out alive of that scary house, we feel okay. We were thrilled. We enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
When we go to a comedy show, a stand-up comedy, when we listen to a show, when we listen to a comic, we actually feel very, we laugh, we explode in laughter, right? When we go to a place where people have decided, let's say you're going to a function and everybody has decided that we are going to dance. Okay, so somebody plays the music, you start dancing. Sometimes the beats happen so fast, your legs automatically move. Do you dance? Soham, do you dance? Soham? No, never. Never. Okay, you must not be dancing with your legs, but when some good music comes, you must be actually. do you just move your head or something? Do you do that? Do you enjoy
Yeah.
music in that? Yeah, right. That's also dancing, yeah. It's okay. Give yourself some credit, right? So that's dancing. See, as the surroundings change, our emotions change. If I'll play a very sad music, you'll actually begin to feel a bit dark, a bit gloomy. If I play a very light music, very joyful music, we begin to feel happy, right? So clearly, the surroundings have a very, very strong impact or influence on our feelings, on our thoughts, right? Yes or no? You can feel it, right? You all can,
Yeah.
right? So whatever we see, whatever we uh, experience, it actually affects our thoughts. Sometimes you must have, if you have read something or if you've been to a place and then you sleep in night, you actually sometimes get a dream related to that. Very distinctly related, but you get whatever we experience, it goes into the subconscious mind. It comes back through a dream, through fears, through emotions, through memories, right? So what Jainacharya said, that while we have arrived to this earth, and while we are fortunate that we have taken birth in Jain family, and we have this interest to explore about the soul, to explore about the life, right? What Acharya says, why don't you take this fact that your surroundings have clear impact on you? And no matter what you do, your surrounding is going to influence you. Then isn't it better to reconstruct your surrounding? Would it not be actually scientific, actually practical, when I can clearly see myself getting influenced from the surrounding that I live in, the kind of music I listen to, the kind of movies I see, the kind of children or friends I hang out with, it clearly have an influence over my life.
Yeah,
Does it
it
have an,
will.
right? So Acharya said, okay, when you have so much influence of surrounding on you, why don't you pay heed to what you choose to make your surrounding? If we recraft our surrounding, I think we can actually change our lives. And so, to recraft our surroundings, we have these five Parmeshthis. They are the spaceship. Just because of the, knowing about the spirit, knowing about the soul, knowing about the karma theory, and knowing that, okay, there is not even a single thing that impacts myself, means I have to let go of everything. We cannot go about forgetting the five Parmeshthis. They are the surroundings that can shape our mindset, that can shape our parinams, our feelings, that is required actually in Moksha Marga. That goes about while you try to make your life peaceful, your life happy. That's the basic need. And that's why we all worship these five Parmeshthis, just to remind ourselves that, okay, I'm Anubhav, but I want to become Arihanta. I'm Anubhav with these two hands, this nose, eyes, this whole body. But no, I'm formless. I'm like Siddha. Which says, okay, I am Arihant, I am Anubhav, and I have this whole responsibility. But no, one day I have to let go of all and I have to become a monk. I have to take sainthood. That's how we shape our subconscious. Whom we idealize tells a lot about ourselves and our destiny. So, no matter how great progress we made, how far we go in our lives. One thing, before we begin to know about the nature of these five Parmeshthis, we make very clear to ourselves. In our entire life, these five people are the ones whom we have to remain stuck to. We have to never ever forget these five ideals that we have made in our life, because these are nothing but the manifestations, but the possibilities of this soul. Okay, I think, is it clear? So yeah, if of most more often what happens is we learn a bit about Jainism and we think, okay, we have actually learned about the spirit, about the soul, about the karmas, and okay, mandir, who goes to the temple? Jainism is not the religion to go to temple, right? And one Dravid does not have influence on another. And what would happen if you go down to a stone, a lifeless object? Okay, nothing happens if you go down to a lifeless object. I'll tell you, you must have so many things in your house you have decorated your house with, which are lifeless. A piece of painting, a portrait of your family, right? Those, who go to hunting, they actually, when they hunt, they kill that particular animal, they cut its head, and then they actually decorate their house with that. Do they do that, or have you seen that or not? Those who actually have this thrill for shooting, they have the guns hanging on their walls. Have you seen it or not? In earlier times, the kings used to have swords in their houses, right? What we have around tells a lot about our inner feelings. If we do not have five Parmeshthis around us, this is all we are going to have. This is all we are going to make ourselves transform into. Therefore, no matter how far we go with this Jainism, we are the worshippers of these five Parmeshthis and no other person. Why these five Parmeshthis? We'll see. We'll see why Arihanta, why Siddha, why Acharya, why Upadhyaya, why Sadhus. But to begin with, first lesson that we undertook today, two things happened. Atma is my only abode. To me, myself is the only abode. But that doesn't mean that I forget these five, which are the manifestations of the soul. This is the raw material. This is what I'm willing to become. If I work on it, it will transform into this. My soul will become Arihanta. My soul will become Siddha. My soul will become Acharya, Upadhyaya, and Sadhu. So a painter, he takes his own canvas, he makes you sit over there, and he looks at you, and then he paints on that plain canvas. Again, he looks at you and he paints in that canvas. And after some time, he actually make a beautiful portrait of yours, onto that canvas, which was totally blank moments ago. How was he able to do that? He constantly looked at you and he tried duplicating you on that piece of canvas, right? The life is the same art. We time and again look at these five Parmeshthis and we try to paint our souls. We look at these five Parmeshthis, we try to, let go of all the bad things that we are having in our soul, the passions, the greed, the hinsa, the jhoot, the chori, kushil, parigraha. And one day we find our portrait is complete. We ourselves are sadhus, we ourselves are aryantas, we ourselves are siddhas. Okay, so that's how the five Parmeshthis are. The whole point of that video was that in life, the most crucial thing is to remain stuck to our roots. The root number one is that to me, myself is the only abode, Ada Hume Saranam. And who has told me this? These are the five supreme beings who have not told me this by just the words, but by their own actions. They actually walk to that path and they realize themselves. Okay, so I'll close today's class with this small video in which you all have to, write down your thoughts. I want to see what you make out of it. And with this video, we'll begin our discussion on nature of five Parmeshthis in this next class. Very simple video. It's on a horse, a life of a horse. Simple, but do pay attention to it, and we'll close the class just after this video.
That is not that.
So it's a beautiful video. I think it will help us a lot in discussing about why we adore five Parmeshthis. What do they have? I'll share this video again. Think about it. Think from the perspective of what we have and what we lose and what we let go of. And we'll start a class in the next session about it. Okay, thank you. Jai Janendra.
Legend. Thanks, Mangal.
I'll just quickly do Janvani Stuti and we'll wrap. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है वंदना शत बार वंदना शत बार जय जिनेन्द्र थैंक यू